The problem with the dangerous MS-13 does not start at the U.S.-Mexico border. It starts in Central and South America. So we wanted to know more about the impact there.
Channel 5's Carolina Cruz spoke to a woman who's experienced the violence of the gang firsthand. Carolina?
Beyond the victim I spoke to and the many still living in fear in Central America, we wanted to know what the arrest of MS-13 gang members means. This weekend, a MS-13 power broker was arrested in Guatemala. Stratford Security says the takedown of Angel Gabriel Reyes Marroquin could lead to a power struggle within the gang. Glenda Diaz is only 35. The trials she suffered go beyond her years. She's experienced loss, terror, physical and emotional pain. Her two siblings were killed by MS-13 gang members after refusing to join the group. Years later, she became a victim too.
También tuve un atentado en el 2011, donde fui acribillada por maras y por eso tengo miedo de regresar. Tengo mis cicatrices.
The scars run deeper than on her skin. The emotional trauma she experienced affects her to this day.
Sufrí mucho, estuve en muchas operaciones, estuve en punto de coma. He sufrido mucho y por eso no quiero regresar.
Diaz is one of many affected by the ruthless gang members. Angel Gabriel Reyes Marroquin helped lead MS-13 in a town near Guatemala City. It's this violence that led Diaz to flee her country after 2 years of deliberation.
Me costó salir por mis niños, separarme de ellos. Me ha costado mucho.
Diaz crossed into the country illegally with her son. She left behind her 4-year-old son and 13-year-old daughter. She feared her oldest would be forced to join MS-13 or be killed.
They go through so much danger along the way in the journey, and yet they're willing to risk that because they know staying home means possibly the greatest fear is losing their children.
Sister Norma Pimentel has heard countless stories from people passing through the valley after fleeing gangs and violence. Scott Stewart with Stratford witnessed the violence from the other end, at the base in Central America.
Retail drug sales, to extortion, to prostitution, to cargo theft, carjacking, you name it. But they are very brutal. They do not hesitate to kill people or to use violence if they don't get what they want.
Stewart says the organization doesn't operate in a hierarchy, instead as cliques.
Especially in those poorer communities. There are, for example, sections of Guatemala City that is basically, run, by the gangs, whether it's 18th Street Gang or MS-13. And so they can basically control everything pretty much that happens.
The gang's influence and operation style means taking down a leader doesn't cause disruption in the strength of the gang as a whole. In spite of that, Stewart does emphasize potential for violence as members vie for the top position Reyes Marroquin once held. We asked Stratford analyst Scott Stewart if a migration shift happens towards the valley with MS-13 and whether we're seeing more influence here. He says he doesn't see an increase in control of territory here. Instead, he sees an increased awareness and reporting by government agencies. Reporting live in the studio, Carolina Cruz, Channel 5 News at 6.